Obvious. All right, what's the first sheet? The title? Whichever one you have in front of you, what's the first sheet that you have?
Why did Kevin Klutz do
Okay, that one there. Why did Kevin Klutz? This one here?
Yeah.
Okay, which one were you wondering about from here?
Can you just do one of them with me? So I know how
Okay,
to do it?
so there's two kinds of questions. There is where they've given you the picture, and then where they're saying factor. Now, by the way, for the test, let me re-emphasize, the study guide that I gave you, remember the study guide that I gave you?
Yes.
That's what your test is going to look like. What I've done is, to make the test up, I took the study guide, I hit save as, changed all the numbers, and called it test. So that, if you want a good idea, 95% of what's on the test, do the study guide. But you do need to do the homework, and this is good practice as well. So can you shut that door for me? Thank you. So let's do one of the area ones, okay? Can you tell me what the area of this shape, look up what this area is? X squared
X squared
plus
8x
x, 8x plus,
15.
okay, if you write down that polynomial, x squared plus 8x plus 15, and I would write it down right here, it'll factor. And the factors are the length and the width. Okay? The one I want to do actually is a letter T. This one's trickier. So I'll go like this. This one. Make it a bit bigger. Yoink. Kenzie, my child, how far from here to here, according to the picture? 2x. I totally agree with you. How far? Remember, what the rationale here, Kenzie, is we're trying to get you to visualize what a polynomial can look like as a picture. And I think I told you, you've heard me say, for me, this doesn't work that well. I think abstractly, not artistically. You've seen me try and draw. You see my handwriting. But for people that are artistic, they like this. How far from here to here? 2. Not 2. Read the whole thing. Psst. Psst. Read the whole. Psst. Look up. Read the whole thing. 2x, right? How far from here to here? 2x. How far from here to here? Also 2x. Yes, 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 yes? So here's my question. What's the area of this great big square? Well, how do you find the area of a square? It's length times width. It's 2x times 2x. 4x would be 2x plus 2x. This is 2x times 2x. What's 2 times 2? What's x times x? Not x. Ah! So what I'd like you to do, Kenzie, with your pencil that you borrowed because you came unprepared, is write a great big 4x squared on this section of the area. So far, so good. We're going to do the same thing for this small shape. How far from here to here? How far from here to here? What's the area, length times width?
9.
Except the fact that it's not shaded in. Do you remember what we said if we didn't shade it in, what we were trying to indicate? That it was what? Do you remember? Ah, nice, nice, nice. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write a great big -9 right there. And I'm going to argue this shape then is this. This is what I want you to write underneath it. That's the polynomial. That's a picture of 4x squared minus 9. Factor that. How many terms? Sorry, GCF? No. How many terms?
2.
Minus sign?
Yeah.
Is the first term a perfect square? Is the last term a perfect square? Okay, this is that difference of squares. Do you remember how to factor that, or do you need me to do it? I can do it if you want me to. So, difference of squares is going to be 2 brackets. Write 2 brackets. The first term is going to be,
Isn't it like 2x?
yep,
Or
2x and 2x. What's the last number going to be? A 3 and a 3. What goes in the middle?
9.
And? Yep. Okay. That's difference of squares. Is that all right for that one?
Yeah.
And that'll, I think, get you through then also set 3 and set 4. Now, set 3 and set 4, they're not giving you the picture. They're giving you the polynomial. But what I did for these ones was I had said write down the polynomial and then factor it. Okay, so
It always have to be a plus and a negative.
for a difference of squares like I right here, yes. For a difference of squares like that right there, yes. This is not a difference of squares because how many terms is there? 3. This is going to be factoring into probably a perfect square. Is there something in front of the n squared? Is there something in front right here? So it's going to be 2 numbers that multiply to positive 36 and that to negative 12. And this is where you need to know your times tables. I think it's going to be -6 and -6. that okay for that one? You okay?
Is that so that's like what you're doing there?
That's what, for these ones, they're giving you the polynomial, factor it. Okay? You're going to find H and E. The numbers are pretty big and tricky, but I'm sorry, sometimes the numbers are pretty big and tricky.
And that's the same for this.
Nope. What's the title of that one?
How did the geometry teacher?
Yep, gotcha. I need to rotate this one 90 degrees. This one here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I already did something.
This one's not asking you to factor anywhere. In fact, this sheet I assigned before the one that you asked me. Look up. I'm going to zoom in here in the first column. Thunk. What am I at? 85? Let's go to 100. Okay. Read to me what the instructions are right here.
Circle the number letter pair of each expression that is the difference of two squares.
All it's asking is which of these are difference of squares. In other words, which of these match the pattern of minus sign, perfect square, perfect square. All they wanted you to do on this particular sheet is as follows. I can make it a bit bigger, Mr. Duke. Look at each one of these.
I did that one.
Yes. Yes. No, because 8's not a perfect square. Yes. No. Why did I cross out this one? It is perfect square. 36e squared is a perfect square, and so is plus, right? The pattern has to be a minus sign in between them. Right? Yes. No, because that's 3 terms. So that's what you're doing for that column. Now, the trickier one is recognizing trinomial squares. Here's the pattern. The first term has to be a perfect square. Well, if you quickly scan down, you'll notice every single one of these is a perfect square on the first term. So that doesn't help us spot any. Also, the last term has to be a perfect square. Kenzie, you know what I mean by perfect squares? 9, 16, 4. Sorry, I should have started with 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36. Those ones?
Isn't it like for like
These are all also perfect squares. So the way to recognize a perfect square trinomial is the middle term. Yep.
okay, here's a 26I1. Isn't it like it's just like 100 isn't it like 100 is like 10 and then like 10 times y2 is 20y and that's how you know.
First of all, y2, b4, that's battleship. Y squared, that's math. I'm going to correct that all year long. Yeah, you're right. Kenji, let's do a yuckier one, okay? Let's do one. Let's look at 23R. Look up. If this was a perfect square and I wanted to double check, what's the square root of 9? Remember that? What's the square root of 25a squared? 5a, remember that. What's that times 2? Not 15. In fact, you know what? It's 30. This one is, isn't it? That's the pattern for perfect square trinomials. That's how the pattern, the middle term for it to be a perfect square is square root of the first times square root of the second times 2. That's the middle. Is that all right? Yeah? Now, the third column isn't asking you to factor either. All it's saying is which of these are true, which of these are false. For example, that one's true because that factors properly. Okay? You know what? This one here is false. You know why? Plus sign. Nice try. Right? 9h squared plus 16. This one here. That's not difference of squares. See it there? 3s.
Yeah.
Right? Plus sign. No, doesn't. In fact, that doesn't factor. It looks like it should. It doesn't. It's prime. In fact, there was one like that on the quiz that you wrote. Why doesn't it work? First of all, for it to work, for difference of squares, it'd have to be a minus sign in the middle. Is there a minus sign in the middle? No. So it's not going to be 3h minus 4, 3h plus 4. That won't work. If you multiplied, since you asked, Kenzie, look up, kiddo. If you actually foiled this out, if this was correct, you would get this. 9h squared plus 16. But in the middle, you would get when you FOIL it out. That's why it doesn't work. Is that okay? Okay. What's the next sheet you were wondering about? How do you park a computer? Gotcha.
Oh, that's just factoring.
That's just factoring. Now, before I say that's just factoring, what type of factoring? These were the tougher ones. These were, look up, kiddo. This is where you had something in front of the squared term, and this is where we had to do that, find two numbers that multiply to 60, 5 times 12, and add to negative 19, and then group them. Does that ring a bell? Because that's going to be a lot of that on your test. That's math. This is the math 10. This is where math 10 officially begun. Yes, that's what I was waiting for you to ask. Dunk. Tutorials back here. Clip. How about, I don't know. 3. Yoink. By the way, the shapes you know to write out the polynomial and then factor it, right? Yeah? The two shapes, you know, write out the polynomial. So this is 2x squared plus, we're trying to get you, again, shapes. Okay, so you know to handle that. Let's do this. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay? And this is where you had trouble on the quiz. We can fix that. Ready? It says factor. GCF?
No.
How many terms is there? Is there something in front of the squared?
Yeah.
Ugh! These are the tougher ones. These are the ones, Kenzie, with my math degree, even I can't do all of them in my head. I can do the easier ones, and even then, though, I make mistakes. We're going to have to show some work. And you may have picked up, I like to show the minimum amount of work for the maximum effect, maximum bang for my buck. So here's the work I'm going to show. I'm going to look for two numbers, and off in the margin, I'm going to write times that multiply to, write down little times. You're not going to be able to do this right on the sheet. You have to do it on a piece of paper, not enough room. Okay, so you write this first one down at the bottom of the sheet, make a little note, but you have to do this one on a piece of paper. Trust me, there's just not enough room. And I'm looking for two numbers, Kenzie, that multiply to negative 24. Can you see where the negative 24 came from?
Yeah.
See it? And I gave you a hint with the little loop. Yes? And I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 2. Can you see where the negative 2 came from? Yeah? You sure now? Yeah? Okay. In other words, now it's first and last and add to middle. Okay? What are two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 2? Sure. What are two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 2? Thank you for playing.
12.
And?
2.
Do 12 and 2 add to negative 2? They do multiply to negative 24. Good. You saw it doesn't work. What else multiplies to 24? And you started with the 24 first, which is the way to do it.
Negative 6 and 4.
6 and 4, 2 apart. Right? Which one's positive, which one's negative? I think I want a negative 6 and a positive 4. I write that down. So if you haven't, those add to, they add to negative 2, don't they? Negative 6 plus 4. And they multiply to negative 24. Okay? Makes it. This is why it's worth writing those down, because for that 1 second, it's really worth it. Now what? Factor. How? Drop the first term down like a domino. Leave a space for you to be able to write two things. So leave a fair space, drop the last term down. And now we're going to do what's called decomposing. This is called the decomposition method. See this negative 2x? We're going to break it up. We're going to break it up into negative 6x and a positive 4x. Those two numbers that I was looking for. Can you see where the negative 6 and the positive 4 came from? Those are the two numbers that multiply to negative 24 and add to negative 2. How many terms is there now, Angela? 4. Grouping, not grouping, grouping. Put the phone away. I'm giving up my free time. No phones. How many terms is there? Grouping, not grouping, grouping. Cover up the last two terms. Kutunk. GCF from the first two terms. 3x. There's always going to be an x in the first term. Okay? So I'm going to write 3x. What will be left behind when I pull a GCF here? An x, a minus, and a what? 2, yes. Repeat, but for the last two terms. GCF from the last two terms. Positive or negative? Right plus 4. Trust me. Okay. Bracket, what would be left behind? An X, a minus, and a... How do I know I'm right on this line here? What was the built-in error check? Both brackets are the... That's how you know you're right. Okay, it's nice to know. Hey, I'm on... Final answer. There's one factor. What was the other factor? 3x plus 4. Can those be done in your head? Not really. Not really. On a good day, when I'm in a zone, I can. This one I probably could because 3 doesn't give me many options. But most of them you can't. So that's how you do those. There's going to be a bunch of those on your test. There's going to be a bunch of multi-step factoring. Stuff that has a GCF, and when you pull out the GCF, hey, the bracket still factors. Okay? Those are fair game.
What if negative 12 and negative 12 and positive 2?
Negative 12 and positive 2? And positive 2. Well, what do those add to? Negative 10? That would be the answer if I gave you this. Where this was the same and this was the same, but this was a negative 10. Then I would say, oh, the number negative 24 and add to negative 10, negative 12 and positive 2. That would be a different polynomial. So there are other numbers that work for other polynomials, but there's only going to be one pair of numbers that works for your specific trinomial that you're factoring. Okay? Other stuff you're going to see. Did I mention that I made the test up already from the study guide? So if you look at the study guide, stuff you're absolutely going to see, stuff that I like. You need to know what makes a polynomial. Okay? So we said it's got to have no negative exponents and no funky stuff, no square root exponents or anything like that. Pardon me? Which one is that?
Did you hear about that?
That one actually we've covered already. So that one there, first of all, Kinsey, it's nasty. I can tell you that. But if you get the hang of it, you're in good shape. You'll notice many of them have a GCF. And when you pull the GCF out, what's left behind will still factor further.
All I have to say is, why is there a letter before this one?
Because there's a
no
GCF.
letter before the one you did?
Because there's a GCF there. That one has a letter as a GCF that you can factor out. So let me do one. One. Did you hear about? Where are we? Did you hear about? Here we go. Okay. Chill. Okay, ready? Look up. For what it's worth, look up. Look at number 4. How many terms?
4.
Grouping, not grouping, grouping. Right. Cover up the last 2. GCF for the first 2. Cover the first 2. Okay. You asked me to do a tough one, so let's scroll down here. I'll try 12. This is probably, I won't say tougher than I'll ask on the test, but this would be, if I give you one this tough, Kinsey, I'd only give you one this tough on the test. Okay? So it's fair game, but just barely as far as I'm concerned. 12. What's the first thing that you always, okay? There is one. First of all, look at the numbers. I got a 6, a 45, and a 54. 3. I'm going to write that down. Is there a C in everything? Oh, what's the smallest exponent of C that appears? C squared. C2 is battleship, dear. Is there a D in everything?
No.
Nope, that's my GCF then. Bracket. When I factor out a 3C squared, what's left behind? When I factor a 3 out of a 6, what's left behind? 2. When I factor a C squared out of a C to the 4th, a C squared's left behind. Plus, when I factor a 3 out of a 45, hey, what is 45 divided by 3?
15.
Nice! Thought I'd have to coach you. Thank you. When I factor a C squared out of a C cubed, how many C's are left behind? 1. And I guess there's going to be a D. Yes? When I positive. When I factor a 3 out of a 54, 54 divided by 3 is what? 18? Are you serious, girl? I'm impressed. Look. I'm impressed. Hang on. I'm impressed. Here you go. Factor a c squared out of a c squared. What's left behind? Trick question. Nothing. A 1. But am I going to write the 1? No. But there would be a d squared. So far, so good, Kenzie? And you know what I would do? I would first of all say, holy smokes, I think this still factors further. This looks ugly. This looks ugly. I guarantee what I would do is I would make myself relax. I would say, well, I know there's a 3c squared in front of everything. Why don't I rewrite it? Now I feel better. I've written something on the next line. It's no longer blank. It's a dumb trick of the trade, Angela. It works. Our brains work that way. We write something down, we're more relaxed. Take a look at this. How many terms? 3? Is there something in front of the squared term? A 2. Now, look up. What's that right there? Read it to me. C squared. What's that right there? D squared. You know what? A c squared in the front gave me a c in the front of each bracket. What do you think a d squared at the back is going to give me? A d where? At the back of each bracket. Okay? In other words, I'm going to tell you right now that my final answer, there's going to be a C here, a D here, a C here, and a D here. What about the numbers? I don't know yet. Kenzie, how many terms? 3? Something in front of the squared? Yep. Okay, so we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to positive 36. Yes? And add to positive 15. 6 and 6, shoot, adds to 12. 9 and 4 adds to 13, very close. 3 and 12. 3 and 12 will work. Okay? So I'll write those numbers down because I'm so proud. Positive 3, positive 12. Now, I know the answer is going to look like this. I'm just going to cross it out for a second because I need more room, okay? I know there's going to be a 3c squared in the front, but before I can break this up into 2 brackets, here's what we would have said. We would have said, hey, drop the 2c squared down, drop the 18d squared down, leave a space because we're going to be putting some stuff. What are we going to be putting? A plus 3cd and a positive 12cd. How did you know CD, Mr. Dewick? Don't. Come back. How do you know CD, Mr. Dewick? Because it's a 15cd. And don't kid yourself. This is a tough one. Barely legal, barely fair. How many terms are in the brackets now? Grouping. So, let's drop this down. Right? GCF from the first 2 terms. There is something. Huh? Now, I'm going to have a bunch of brackets. So, Kenzie, I'm going to go with a square bracket here just so I can kind of separate stuff easier. And then I'll write the C and a curvy bracket. I think that'll help me keep track of what's what. When I pull a C out, I'll have a 2C plus 3D. Right? Close. GCF from the last 2. 6 as a number, yes, 12 and 18. 6 and a D. What's left behind? When I pull a 6D out of the first term, well, a 2 to get the 12 and a C. Yes? When I pull a 6D out of the last term, a 3 to get the 18 and a single D. Close off. What's my built-in error check? Both brackets are the... Are they? They are! Woo! Okay. Final answer. Drop the 3c squared.
C plus 6D.
C plus 6d.
2C plus 3D.
2c plus 3d. And did I say that the c squared was going to give us a c in the front of each bracket? It did. Did I say that the d squared at the end was going to give us a d at the end of each bracket? It did. We're right. Okay. Barely fair. Yeah, almost not fair. Well, I would live with that. It was like the last question on the test. Question? Is that okay? Now, I'm willing to stay longer, by the way, but you need to go. Did you want me to print this up for you, or did you get it written down? You got it written down? Okay. I'll put it on the website anyways if you know where that is. I trust you do. Any more questions you would like me to go over? Because Jake's just here writing a quiz. I don't care about him. Look at the head. Oh, sorry. Since you're the only one that showed up. By the way, grade 10s who are watching this online, because I will be posting this online, only one person showed up for the tutorial that I emailed you about on the weekend. I hope you're acing that test on Thursday and Friday, because I'm giving up my free time right now. Sorry, 2 people showed up. I apologize. 2 people showed up. Still. If you want good grades, you got to work for it, folks. Any you would like me to go over? Now is your chance to ask. I'm willing to stay till 5, although I'd really prefer not to stay that long. I'll pause the video for a second. So I've been asked to do number 4 from the, did you hear about?
Number 3.
Number 3?
I'm sorry.
This one here? Yeah? 5x squared minus 65xy?
Was that, wait,
It's okay. Which one?
number 4.
This one here. The 2y cubed minus 8y squared plus 9y minus 36. That one? Or are we looking at a different sheet? Is this the right one? Hang on, hang on, hang on. Yeah, yeah, this is the right one, I think.
Yeah. Number 3.
3? This one here. You sure now? Sure? Let's do it. And these ones are nasty. Oh! This one? Oh! Ooh! Ooh! GCF! 5!
5.
That's going to make everything smaller. Oh, thank goodness. Whoa! Come back. Scared me. Factor out of 5, and I'll get x squared minus 13xy minus 30y squared. Yes?
Yeah.
Does this factor, how many terms is there? 3. Oh, is there something in front of the square? No, this is going to be the nicer ones. I'm going to be looking for 2 numbers that multiply to negative 30 and add to negative 13. Negative 15 and positive 2. It's going to factor into x minus 15y, because there's a y squared at the end, and x plus 2y, and I hope that's there as an answer. What did I say the GCF was? Hello? 5. So I'm looking for something that starts with a 5.
At that.
Top? Ah, right here. No, that's not it. Where's the other one that starts with a... No. Ah!
8.
There you go. I would cross that. Cross that out, I think is what we're doing. No, never mind. I would write the word under the box. So the word 8 would go under the box number 3. So 8, A-T-E, would go right there. Is that all right? That was so much fun. Let's do some more. Okay, if you insist. Any others?
Number 13.
Number 13, love to. Woo! Ooh. This one here with the 4th. Woo. Okay. Let's see. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. GCF? Nope. How many terms? 3. Is there something in front of this term right here? Nope. Except, what's my exponent?
4.
You know what I think is going to happen here? Because I notice I got a lovely c squared right there. I think this is going to factor into a c squared and a c squared. Because that would give me a c to the 4th when I FOIL it out. And I'm looking for numbers that multiply to positive 49 and add to negative 50.
-1, -2.
Okay? But I'm not done. How many terms in this first bracket? 2? Is there a minus sign?
Yes.
Is the first term a perfect square? Is the last term a perfect square? This factors further into c minus 1, c plus 1. How many terms? 2.
2.
Is there a minus sign?
Yes.
Yeah. Is the first term a perfect square? Is the last term? Oh, this factor's perfect. Look at that. Look at that. It's going to be c minus 7, c plus. Look at that. That factors into 4 things. Wow! Cool. Where is that? C minus 7, C, fourth. You know what? Regular, which is, yeah, for the number 13, the very top there.
Sir,
Regular.
what about number 32B?
32B from the study guide?
20, yeah.
22B from the study guide? Let us go get the study guide. You know what, Mr. Duick? Let's do it this way. Study guide. Boom. 22B? Whoop, too far. This one here?
Yeah.
This one is nasty. So you asked a great question. Okay. Let's go thunk. Clip. Yump. Delete. Make bigger. This is nice, very handy. First of all, GCF? No. How many terms? 4. Grouping. The way it's written, it won't factor by grouping. What we need to do is we need to rewrite it like this. I need to move this guy to there.
I don't have to change the positive or negative.
Well, the sign stays with the term when you move it around.
Oh,
What happens if I do that? GCF from the first 2 terms.
5.
5x. And I get an x, a minus, and a 3y squared. Is that right, Mr. Duick? It is. GCF from here. I'm going to try positive 6. I get a 3y and minus x. Are my brackets the same?
Yeah.
Not quite. So this isn't going to work. Now, you know what? There might have been a typo on this. Now that I think about it, let me look at my answer key. And I may have forgotten to fix it with you folks, which would be like me and dumb. You know what? I moved the 6x right to there. So I rewrote it slightly differently. I got the x's, the x squared followed by the x, and then I wrote the y squared followed by the y. That makes more sense to me. So I did this. Erase. I said, you know what? This would probably be better if I had the x squared term and then the x term, then the y squared term, and then the y term. Now this will group GCF in the first term, x. And I'll get 5x minus 6. GCF here, there's going to be a 3 and a y, but I want to factor out a negative 3. And when I do that, I'll get
5x minus negative 6 minus 6.
Now, you know what? I think there is a typo because I should have a y left here. You know what? There's a typo in this question, and I've just realized it, Angela. So I'll let the people know. I'll email out, and I need to fix this. Or did I fix it on my answer key? 15x.
You didn't have y there.
I don't have a y there. I think this needs to be changed. And it needs to become that. And let's go to my other one. That was 22b. And I got rid of the square, didn't I? Needs to be that. Now I think that'll work, right? The x squared followed by the x. I'm not going to give you one that tough, so I wouldn't worry about that one too much. I'm glad you asked that one, but I'm not going to give you one like that. Is that okay? So now that's also going to get rid of the squared. And now that works. Save. Next. So, whoop.
Sir.
Give me 1 second here. We're live. Give me 1 second. Sorry about the typo on the study guide question 22b. As it's currently written, it doesn't factor. However, if you scribble out the squared on the negative 15xy 2, boom. Oh, hang on. Doink. And make it negative 15xy and rewrite it. Now it will factor. I won't put one this tough on the test. Sorry. Right click, pause.